Hey everyone, how are you doing? Caught me listening to some Cat Stevens, and really dig the guy. Even in my youth, which I guess technically in one way I still am, just a matter of perspective. So how is everybody? Wednesday, good to see everyone. Allow me just to invoke great favor upon your life and prosperity of every kind and complete restoration, nothing missing, nothing broken in your life. Best way to be. And you should say that every day over your life. Every time you pass yourself in the mirror, you need to look at yourself and say, you know what? I have great favor on my life. And if you need to walk your property, if you need to, lay your hands on the doorways to your home and just speak favor, that no matter who walks through that threshold, they have favor for you. You'll start seeing things change. You really will. Yeah. Just guess it's what you believe. You're going to use faith. You have it. It's just about where you apply it. Most people, regrettably, when they end this life, look back and realize how much faith they extended in fear and worry. In fact, worry can't come to pass unless it has faith as the activator. So there you go. I just want to say hello to everyone. Hello, Terry. Hello, Lois. How are you? Miss Balanced, good to see you. Ian, hello. David Castle. Viola, hello. Mod Squad, I do remember. Maria, Truth Seeker, how are you, my dear? Joyce, good to see you. Caroline has a new channel, I believe. Did I see that not right, Caroline? Anyway, she'll let you know. Going to get back on her show. We tried it last time, and it was interesting. Hey, Cass, how are you doing? Trina, good to see you. Robert, T-Love, hello. Boy, Electric 11, hello. 09, Klaatu, good to see you. Mr. Floyd, Lost in Space, peace. Rebecca, hello. Yeah, he's on the other side. Tim, good to see you. Hey, Joe, hello, how are you? Jenny, good to see you. Legend, real good to see you. Man, there's just a lot of great people in here. Abby, hello, good to see you. Invoking great favor upon you. Thank you. Hey, Rod, peace. Emperor Rex, hello. Valerie, good to see you. Sylvia, Claudia, hello, good to see you. Hey, Sherry, hello, good to you. Good to see you. Think agape love always and forever? Absolutely. And Dolores, and boy, there's just Denise, good to see you. And as the crowd continues to file in. So tomorrow, folks, got Nancy Addison coming back on. And we're going to work into this and, going to get Karen back on, Queen of Courts. Yeah, we can change. Listen, I think what I learned so well from the indoctrination, and that's all you can call it, when you repeat something over and over again, it like a mantra, it becomes, I think, as the proverb, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. As you thinketh in your heart, so are you. Faith. That's the one thing I learned about was faith. I mean, we knew about faith and we knew the activation of faith. Let me just say this. Going up as an entrepreneur, I had a lot of challenges that, but all entrepreneurs do. That's what makes it so exciting is the challenges. No matter what your challenges may be, many different forms, shades, varieties, etc. And I learned something from Earl Nightingale, dating myself, way back then, that if you want to see your dreams come true, Number one, you need to write them down. The reason why most dreams, most thoughts never materialize in your life is that you're always thinking, and you have to give attention to it. So when you write something down, that's why writing a business plan is critical. I would recommend a life plan. Write your own life plan down. But when you take the discipline to write it down, something happens. And then when you begin to speak it, things change. They just do. And if Michael Tablet's book that I'm reading, The Holographic Universe, which seems to be so spot on, it's how you program your reality. Now, you're immersed in a much bigger reality. We all are. And I think that this reality is yet a bigger, is a part of a much bigger reality. I don't think it ever ends. Before we came on, I invoked favor on everybody. I always do that. And I was stirring my tea. And the weirdest thing is that as I looked at my tea in the center of the raw honey I use, it had this swirling effect. And I'm telling you, it looked like a spiral galaxy. And I saw it. And anyway, I had this distinct impression that I'm going to see it, and that is going to happen, folks. There is a reality within this reality. There is a reality that says the Milky Way is heading at a direct collision with the Andromeda system galaxy. It's going to happen. And there is a smaller galaxy in between those two that we will hit before we hit Andromeda. And that's going to be a bad day for both galaxies. Now, they say that that's 4 billion years in the future. Yeah, but if you're infinite, 4 billion isn't anything. So think about that. So Wednesday got Nancy coming back on again. We're going to be discussing diabetes. Listen, there is a nefarious plan afoot, and we're seeing the effects of it in our genus, the genus of man, our man, modern man. We're seeing it now. We are under assault. I doubt, ladies and gentlemen, and please fact check me on this, that there has never been a time as today where there are more diseases attacking our bodies. Now, I'm not saying in the past, anthrax was a problem. It's a living pathogen. And, there have been plagues, weakness, but today, if you just look at what's happening here in the United States, particularly, you can't turn on any media without big pharma there telling you about some disease that you may or may not have, that may or may not be able to be treated, but may or not. And it just goes on and on. Yeah, I think so. Nancy, we're going to talk about this. I read a stat that I went, what? At the current rate of both adolescents' diabetes, adult diabetes, diabetes type 2, diabetes type 1, and I have no doubt they'll probably come up with type 3, that at the current rate of what can only be called a pandemic, if this was a flu virus, it would be a pandemic, because they look out the next 2 generations, virtually the whole population will be diabetic. Well, if you can see that future, now's the time to start investing in these companies that are coming out with the drugs that aren't cheap, by the way. Got a whole list of side effects that you almost need an attorney to read them and decipher them. So looking forward to that. Now, Thursday, got a couple letters from Source. Joshua has made some designs. I'm going to show you that he has. We might get some t-shirts, donate the profits to whatever cause we come up with. Friday, I got a show, and it's going to be discussing why mankind will never go beyond the Earth in space travel. Won't happen. Never. It's not that it's not theoretically possible. Physics says that it's possible, but I'm going to tell you, these very bodies, no, I don't even know if they'll actually do well on Mars. The jury's out on that. What we do know, as I discussed yesterday, and we're going to get more into it, that the rate of which the germs that live on us, the bacteria that lives on us right now, you can't get it off of you. They accelerate in zero gravity in space. I mean, you could literally have the freaking alien thing happening. And you imagine, I think that's where it's going. But that then says, well, if we're stuck here, what the hell is going on? So let me get right into this. I got a lot to cover because I really believe that you're going to find this as interesting as I do. One of the things that I do, I enjoy it. I enjoy going through the CIA's database. Now you can do that. They have a whole database that you can search, and it's a treasure trove of information. And you have to know how to go and look for it. It's not laid out in a Dewey Decimal System. It's remember, you're dealing with people who think totally different than the masses do. Take a lawyer, a doctor, a nurse. I could go through even a programmer. It's a discipline. And you learn to think in that discipline. And you can converse with people outside the discipline, but frankly, you wouldn't have much in common if they were not versed with the discipline you were trained in. So anyway, if you want to have fun, it's a lot of fun doing it. Trust me. And they know when you're, as I always say, I'm just walking through the aisles. So this one was strange. It's been declassified. And this is basically, it's called, it's known as document 427150. And when you looked at this, you wouldn't have any idea what this document is about. But folks, it is a strange one. This is a defense documentation. It was done back in 1964, right there in Alexandria, Virginia, CIA, which we now know as Langley. It goes in and gives the disclaimer. So you look at this. Final report, detection of humans in concealed prepared positions. So you're saying, yeah, this was prepared by the Limited War Laboratory, Aberdeen Proving Grounds. Now that's what got my spidey senses going. Wait a minute. Detection of humans in concealed prepared positions. This was obviously a document going beyond the standard military type approach in any type of combat situation, whether it be heavily populated by civilians or in more rural settings. And I'm going, detections of human beings. It was through the Bio Research Company, Boston, Massachusetts, July 1963. and this was presented in January 17th, 1964 by Tricia B. Now, I went in and I looked at this and I said, all right, the preface, introduction, human attributes and contrast. 1, chemical attributes, list of chemical substances produced by man. B, additional data on specific body products. C, other supporting information, ethic, etc. What? Physical attributes, electromagnetic radiation, sound and vibration, electrical, magnetic, radioactivity, body configuration, and cross sections. Now, come on, you read that part, you cannot go but going, what are they dealing with? Now, this is in 63. Probably started this research, who knows, 61, 62. But what I found interesting was that they were already discovering, but they wanted to identify it. And it's very interesting when you read these sections. Electromagnetic radiation, sound and vibration, all these things that we look at today and we go, okay. So as I continue to go through this document, it gives the preface. And what they're doing here, folks, is that they went so over the top of identifying what you and I, a human body, puts off. Folks, it's going to blow you away. This was Dr. Max Krauss, Chief of Biology Research at a Limited War Laboratories. I mean, you know what that job's about. Comes in, signs off, goes in. They talk about 2,000 references are cited, and they cite every one of them, which was an aggregate of about 8,000 other information that was rejected or as irrelevant or of no value. And I'm going in here and it says, in considering human signal sources and attributes, emphasis was placed on assembly of a catalog of chemical substances excreted through all body portals for comparative analysis. Other human physical attributes and signals were set down, emissions, reflections, proximity properties, resulting in an inventory of most of the major signals produced by man. What this document is saying, in essence, we naturally put off signals. And apparently, what we're learning today, they knew back then. We put off so many signals. We are literally walking broadcast. We leave every step we take. There is essence of us in that step, literally behind us. It absolutely, from what you're going to find out, it's crazy smart. Because if you can learn to identify this, then you can do two things. No human, and this is what it does set. It sets biomarkers for what we would call sapiens. Think about this now. Now, these markers now allow who owns the information here, which in this case is this at the one time CIA. It's now in the hands of the United States government and probably other governments as well. That there's no way a person will hide. You will find them no matter what. It also gives kind of a weird thing telling you what non-humans would be. So you get into this, talks about environmental modifications of chemical signals from man by the substances from plants and animals, weather effects, etc., was augmented also by comparative data on effects of the environment on physical signal transmission. Folks, we literally are transmitting, you right now are transmitting your unique signal. Now, it's composed of something that I bet you let me get down here to the table. Here it is, folks. Are you ready for this? Watch this. This is going to blow you away. So the following, are, well, everything that we throw off. They have a table on here. Anyone who wants this document, I'll give it to you. For instance, sweat, skin, urine, your feces, when you crap, when you breathe, your skin literally is, if you could see it, your skin is literally got a gaseous cloud around it. So just take a look at here, folks. I'm not going to go through all of this. I mean, quite frankly, we would be here for a very long time, but I'm going to go slow enough to where you can begin to see this is what they identified in this study. Now, you think about this. If you have this, and it also goes by gender, female here, also with male. We do put off different transmissions, male, female. Obviously, with women in your menstrual cycle, men don't have that. And it's interesting in this study what happens in what you women put off. I mean, so continue to look at this. It was absolutely mesmerizing to me when you begin to look at this. All of this is identified by the signal of a human being. In 1963, they knew this. Imagine if you were a pharmaceutical company and you had this. Imagine if you had a culling that you needed to do that you knew was going to have to be planned, 50, 60, 70 years in the future. You would begin to have the complete breakdown. Now, the Human Genome Project hadn't even started. It wasn't even conceived. Probably was thought about. We just didn't have the means of the technology and AI to help us identify the human genome. But this is what helped led to that. And as you can see, this is, to me, just... Now, the CIA was involved in this. Remember, this was the war laboratories. I mean, they're not making the peace train here. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you're looking at this in areas and ways that, well, let your imagination run wild. And we're not done. We're in the S's. So, we're getting closer. We continue. Oh, we're in the U's. Any of you who suffer from gout, you know about uric acid. We talked about zinc last week. So you would think then that was the end of the list. Wrong. We have secondaries. The study of this was, well, it's one of those things. You ask, what would the CIA want with this? What would a government, what would the military industrial complex machine want with this? Well, I'll tell you what you'd want with this. You would be able to easily identify a weakness, an exploited weakness, a strength maybe. I mean, just the section on sweat was a fascinating read. I got a lot more to cover. So anyway, now, that's it. Yes. All right. This is a document called the Gateway Project. And this was another CIA document. Again, it's fascinating to go into the archives, what you find here. This was a report you can see was released 2003, 09, 10. Come on, everyone knows what that is. September 10th. Isn't that odd, huh? 2003. And here, this was a document talking about right hemisphere, left hemisphere. Looking at modalities such as hypnosis, transcendental meditation, biofeedback. And this is a report it's not that long, but it's fascinating. They are into things dealing with what is it? Remote viewing. One of them. I mean, it's getting into what transcendental meditation does to the brain. What in the biofeedback, how can we get into theta waves? How can we get into points of being at a state of where you're a dream state, but yet consciously aware, as I would be right now? It's quite fascinating in this study. I may, in fact, we might just go ahead and do a reading on this, and it's filled with information that is obviously showing, I think they've got the physiology down. They can't nail this thing called thought, consciousness, mind, soul, spirit, whatever. We know that the mind, the brain, is something we still don't understand. We're finding things in studies, in labs that we'll probably never know of. As you can say right here, the theta level, folks, is something we're going to look and explore as a group. To be able to get into the theta waves is associated with sleep. They know that if you can be fully awake to a sleep state, the brain does remarkable things. Now, I don't know if it's the brain. It by the studies, they say the brain, but is it something else? Quite fascinating. This is a letter to the editor. I believe this was in I forget which magazine it was in. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is this article. Well, it's very interesting. This was a whole huge PDF white paper. Y'all know about CRISPR. It's what it's now allowed us to do what the Chinese have done. Other boutique bio gene labs, I'm sure, are doing much the same. But imagine now being able to go into the womb and removing complete chromosome sets. The case in here, they talk about Down syndrome. When does Down syndrome begin to form in the body in the fetus? Can you begin to do testing that would see any other genetic anomalies, and then thus going in a procedure with the fetus still in the womb and basically begin to do gene altering, gene editing, gene removal? The implications on this are broad. It's and the pros and the cons. I mean, are we going to have the next great race? I tell you, that's what the Chinese are up to. I have no doubt the Russians are the same way. I have no doubt the U.S. is in the same way. The super soldier of the future, genetically modified designed specifically for guard duty, soldiering. Will never be anything else. His body will be absolutely designed for that. Thus, also, I have no doubt they'll also be able to change, I think, even the soul itself. I mean, the soul has to be taught, does it not? Unless you're one that believes that the soul is completely sentient. Again, the problem we have, humans have to have X marks the stop. It's the spot. It's our point going forward. But as we read yesterday, the book should be coming in tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to it. My wife and I read that whole chapter again last night. And folks, you really, if you didn't watch the show yesterday, go watch it. If you want that first chapter, I'll be more than happy to send it to you. He covers, it's so profound. But this puts us, what are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Are we not taking on the role of God, of a God? We're creating, altering, substituting, eliminating life itself. And if you're genetically programmed from the get-go, while you're in the womb, how do you become anything else but that? Now, I have another document I went over a couple of years ago. And when I went back, I actually felt this unction to go back. It was pulling me saying, go back and look at this. And this was a document from a meeting that took place in July of 2001. And it's called The Future Strategic Issues with Warfare, circa 2025. Folks, we're only 5.5 years away. 5.5 years away from this. And when we go through it, we're going to go through it. Some of you may have seen it. Many of you probably have not. You're going to have to say, the whole thing about us being tracked and hunted looks like it was set up way long ago, baby. Let's go through this thing. This thing is going to be fun. All right. The bots, the Borgs, and the humans welcome you to 2025. We're going to study, by the way, this presentation was based upon all of these military, NGOs, the military industrial complex contributed to this report. This presentation is meant to incite thought. Discussion is based on all cases upon existing data, trends, analysis, technologies. No pixie dust. In other words, no bullshit. We want to talk facts, what we have. This is what this is about. Provides, in some cases, a somewhat broader view of prospective developments and issues. Utilization is inputs of future warfighting concepts, developments, enemy after next in blue. Inputs to new procurement decisions, heads up for intel community, watches and warning, and inputs from the Department of Defense and their R&D planning. Going in, assumptions. Politics does change overnight. Russia, Iran, Iraq, Pakistan. Potential capabilities is the future warfare issue. Not who, but what. Need to plan differently. World is in the throes of triple exponential technological revolutions, IT, bio, nano. Changes occurring at scales of months instead of decades. Folks, that's key right there. Zeroth order, potential effects upon defense, offensive equipment, ConOps, and threats. Spaceship Earth. The crew are plundering the ship's supplies. tinkering with the temperature and life support controls, still looking for the instruction manual, engaging in bloody skirmishes in every corner of the vessel, increasing the size of the crew by 2 million per week, and now that can actually be almost, get this, to 3 million a week. Spaceship Earth is us, folks. We are the crew. Humans have taken over, vastly shortened evolution of the planet. Global warming, pollution, deforestation, huge public works, the Three Gorges Dam. Do you know that the Three Gorges Dam is literally pressing in on the mantle? Wasn't there before. It's artificially being subjected to the mantle. Of the human species, genomic design and repair. 2001, folks, mind children. What? Yeah. Product life forms, cross-species molecule breeding, directed evolution. Currently, order of 70% of world's research conducted outside of U.S. To first order, a percentage of GDP, gross domestic product, U.S. produces orders of 18% of the world's GDP. Goes on to say that orders of 70% of the U.S. research now is commercial as opposed to government-sponsored. Nanotechnology, 29% in Europe, 28% in Japan, 27% in the U.S., 16% others. Again, this was 2001. Technological ages of humankind, hunter-killer groups, million BC to 10,000 BC. Folks, we are a savage, bloody, freaking race. And it's not bred out of us, it's bred into us. In agriculture, 10,000 BC to 1800 AD. Industrial, 1800 to 1950. IT to 1950 to 2020. Bio-nano, 2020 to who knows what. And virtual. Remember, the scale of the time has been so condensed. This is what is one of the things that this document brings out. Hunter-gatherer, nature provider, agriculture, controlled nature, plants, animals, industrial, mechanized agriculture, IT, bio-nano, automating, industrial agriculture, virtual robotization of IT, bio-nano industry, and agriculture. And folks, we have now seen all of this come to pass. The key future technologies are highly synergistic at the frontiers of the small in a feeding frenzy off of each other. IT, it talks about Silicon Valley, the biopolitical, quantum nanocomputing, no end in sight, another 10 to the 6th power plus, virtual reality, holographics, immersive, ubiquitous communications, hyperspectral sensors, virtual presence, automatic robotic everything, huge cost reduction, bio, lifespan doubling, genetic engineering before birth. You see, those documents we were just reading, they were predicting this in 2001. Plants irrigated by seawater, food, petrochemical feedstock, minerals, terraforming, carbon nanotubes, 600 times strength to the weight of steel, assemblers, living factories, huge cost reduction, worldwide IT revolution, communications, computing, sensors, electronic. Talks about the U.S. commercial IT and R&D budgets. $100 billion a year. Factor of 1 million further improvement from silicon, molecule, quantum, bio, optical, beyond human AI, automatic robotics, enlarge, immersive multi-sensory VR holodecks, ubiquitous multi-physics, hyperspectral sensors, land, sea, air, space, micro nanostats, CNG sensors, telecommuting, teleshopping, tele-entertainment, teletravel, teleeducation, telemedicine, telecommerce, telepolitics, telesocialization. Are any of you beginning to see what's happening here? All of this has come to pass. This is our reality today. It didn't exist 20 years ago, but just in the thoughts, the labs. We're there. IT status. E6 improvements in computing since 1959. Further possible next 30 years. Better than human capabilities. 100 million telecommuters worldwide now, expected to at least double in 15 years. Today, many companies, many tech companies, many other companies throughout all of the service, commercial, industrial, many of them do have telecommuting jobs. We're seeing this next one in the change here in the United States. India graduates 3 times more software engineers than the US. More software written in Bangalore than Southern California. Yeah. It says that this will effectively constitute what we would call the fourth, what they call world mass of computing. Some IT predictions. 2001, remember, quantum computing initially available in 5 years. We did it actually in shorter than that. 15% of all power today is used by computers, will reach 60% by 2010. We already exceeded that. Wearable, implantable on persons. We're already seeing it. Electronic, communications, computing, sensory augmentation, health monitoring, brain stimulation. All of it. AI and beyond. Human brain characteristics, capabilities. Right now, they knew human brain, 100 billion neurons, 100 trillion connections, 200 calculated seconds slow speed for neural circuitry, 20 million billion calculations per second, excellent at parallel computing, pattern recognition, poor at sequential thinking, operates via random tries. Machine capabilities. Currently, 10 billion calculations per second, 100 billion by 2004. We're now, folks, into the 100 trillions. By 210, 20 million billion is available. By 2030, PC has collective computing power of a town full of human minds. U.S. Brain Project. I have that document, by the way. Begun in the early 90s, funded by 16 organizations across 5 agencies. President Obama was very big on this. He actually signed an executive order to propel this. AKA, known as neuroinformatics, intersections of neuroscience and informatics, exploding field, 10,000 individual presentations at the annual meeting of Society for Neuroscience, from molecule geneticists to cognitive psychologists, determining detailed neuroanatomy of human brains. In other words, the digital brain atlas, use of IT to study brain, use of brain info to aid IT and AI. Current AI best bet, not to rule-based expert systems. Imagination engine, aka creative machine, aka creative agent. Its current AI is the best bet, not a rule-based expert system. Generates new ideas, concepts via starving a trained neural net of meaningful inputs, forcing it to dream, to cavitate, creating new concepts. An attendant neural net used to capture, record, evaluate, and report on these writings. Do you know what I'm talking about here? This is an artificial brain. Dreaming. They forced it. Don't tell me AI isn't sentient. In this worldwide economy, our ability to create wealth is not bounded by physical limits, resources, but by our ability to come up with new ideas. However, even universal wealth will not obviate the other concerns of warfare, which include politics, race, religion, megalomania. How do they know that? And territorial disputes. I'm sorry, I just had this image in my head when I read that. Global problems and solutions. Serious problems: energy, water, food, land, population growth, wealth generation, pollution warming. Killer app solutions. Most motivational, inexpensive, web-based, asynchronous, distant learning. It's here. Biomass food via seawater irrigation in current wastelands. We're still behind on that. Inexpensive, motivational, asynchronous, web-based, distant educational enables. Demise of the U.S. underclasses. Wealth creation from enabled invention. Stabilization of world population. We haven't got that. Even more rapid technology diffusion. Equalization of haves and have-nots. We haven't figured that one out. Alter political military outlooks worldwide, i.e. changes everything. Motivational learner, web-based, asynchronous, distant learning, only method of providing requisite improved education. The breadth, the depth, and the quality, and the responsiveness to shifting global economic warfare requirements, accelerated increase in knowledge. You know where today the military is recruiting? The young people that are immersed in the game world, what we would call an alternate reality. That's where the wars are going to be fought. At orders of magnitude, reduce societal individual costs. And it's all about cost. Everywhere you look at this. By 2025, 40% of private, 15% of public colleges and universities are expected to close due to web-based competition. It's already here. Colleges are closing across the country. Why go to college when you can do it online? Well, I understand the experience, but anyway, I know, Franny. Anyway, a Northern Virginia businessman recently donated $100 million to set up a free Ivy League class online university. It goes on about the ultimate education approach, plug and play. Direct silicon or other such devices connection to brain, very rapid uploads, education in minutes instead of many years. Google's already all over this. They've already announced this. Maybe that whole thing when I was saying that the intelligence capacity of man will begin to happen. I mean, imagine a child of 5 goes in, gets jacked, and comes out a PhD. Advantages of shallow sea desert production of biomass via seawater irrigation. A lot of this is already ongoing. Let's talk about the probable social changes here. Much increased lifespan due to bio advances. Solution to energy, water, and warming. We haven't got that one. Far more global distribution of technology, education, economies, and wealth. We're seeing that. Tremendous increases in capability of automatic, robotic, everything. We're seeing that. Resulting in reduced tensions associated with have and have-nots and historical religious issues. That's the problem here. We think that this is technology was going to solve our problem in the religious wars, and then beginning to separate the chasm of those who have and those who have not. What we've done is that we've created monsters. These founders and these companies that control the social and the information data flow, they are now the oppressors. We didn't see it back then. We thought that they were going to be those that would help us in reaching this dilemma we've had from the get-go. Major emerging laws, enforcement issues, privacy, ubiquitous micro nano sensors. We don't have no privacy. IT net crime, wide spectrum. All of these have become, as we know, epidemic. Biocrime, binary pathogens, genetics, protection of human electronic implants, protection of CONUS beyond terrorism, societal disaffection, upheavals caused by rapid technology changes, road air rage. We're seeing this, psychosomatic illnesses and withdrawal. Are we not seeing all of this? 2001, folks, this was produced. Of particular concern, uncontrolled, uncontrollably self-replication of brilliant robots, nanoreplicators, rampant recombinant recombinant. In other words, bioweapons. This was a concern back then. Current competitive landscape gets into, again, who's actually out there doing the research. They got into where they could see the economic growth. China, obviously, I think to a certain degree, was highly underestimated. They didn't get that one right. Biorevolution applications, pharma animals, drugs, spare parts, fast-growing plants on and near sea surfaces, and seawater irrigated plants for biomass energy, closed CO2 cycles, polymer growing plants, polymer. Spider genes in goats allow spider silk spanning from goat milk for biosteel, 3.5 times stronger than the armored fibers of armor. In other words, bulletproof vest. Binary bioweaponry. Examples: confluence of IT, bio, and nano. Brain of a sea lamprey inserted, connected to body of a robotic fish, an initial cyborg. Already got him. Choo-choo, a flesh plant eating robot that hunts, biodigests natural foods to live off the land. They've had choo-choo for decades. Now, if they've had choo-choo for well over 20 plus years, where do you think choo-choo is at now? Carbon nanotubes. C1 million Buckminster Fullerton carbon. Obviously, that's got the word. I can't think of it right now. Anyway, it's an ultra-high steel carbon. We see it in F1 races. Revolutionary power generation storage opportunities. Again, we're already there on these. Freeform fabrication. Using new metallurgy, using robotic, magnetically steered electron beams, to create accrediting local melts, grow instead of cut. No fasteners, no strong backs for fasteners. These are all new materials, aluminums. You can see where they go to the sensors. Here's one. Some sensors are swarms. They talk about smart dust. They talk about nanotags, the ones that you can spray in the air. Co-opted insects already here. They're already releasing them. Some explosive smart dust opportunities, optimal positioning of explosive dust, dust-air explosive, formation of explosive lenses, infiltration of deeply buried other such targets. Microdust weaponry, a mechanical analog to micron-sized mechanized dust, which is distributed as an aerosol and inhaled into the lungs. Dust mechanically bores into lung tissue and executes various pathological missions. A wholly new class of weaponry, which is legal. Are they doing it? Well, call me suspicious. If it's legal, then I'm sure they're doing it. Givens, now too soon. Gigabyte data transfer rates, optimal for communications. We're getting close to that. Petaflop in computing, we're already there. Exceptional AI from bioinformatics to biomimetics. Wondrous, ubiquitous land, sea, air, space, multiple physics, hyperspectral sensor swarms, military, commercial, scientific applications. Survival requires dispersion, size reduction, and concealment. Robotic swarms, technologies, primarily commercial and epidemic worldwide. Endemic, excuse me. Agreed upon assumptions combat in 2025. Proliferations of the TBMs, IT, precision, strike, targeting, ambiguous microsensors, camo, spoofing, robotics, biochem, munitions. Already there. Logistics as assets highly vulnerable in or out of the theater, in or near theater, ports, airfields, possibly unusable. Beam weapons increasingly prevalent. I think that's what some of the pictures we've captured were some of these beam weapons. Cruise missiles, range payloads similar to TBMs at fraction of the cost and far greater accuracy. Talks about the inventory. They've got way too many of them, but now they're changing them. The United States Air Force here has announced that they're upgrading all of their weapons. Again, talks about the cruise missiles, low cost and ready available of the requisite technology components, essentially ensuring the enemy after next will have inventory, fields, hordes of very capable, easily concealed, very difficult, inexpensive to counter accurate cruise missiles with a potential devil's brew on the warhead. That's the big concern I have about this unprotected border we have. I know, folks, I can tell you this. I've talked to border agents, and their concern is they began to find this under the Obama administration. They found campsites that had the Quran that were definitely of Muslim orient. They have found evidences of other weapons being crossed over our border. This is being unchecked, but this is something that here in this NASA document, they were very concerned about. Volumetric weapons, EMPs, infonet psych warfare, miniature brilliant sensors, mind combos, fuel air, dust air, thermobotics, RF, chemobiological, antifunctional, antifuna. Those are, again, bioweapons. Isomer, strain bond energies releases, carbon fibers, and blades and acoustics. It goes on talking about anti-personnel. Talks about the effects of low power microwaves, behavioral performance decrements. Are you seeing this? Seizures, gross alteration in brain function, 30% to 100% increase in brain blood flow, lethality, interactions between low power, microwatts per square centimeter, 0.4 to 0.3 to 3 gigahertz with the microwave and brain function. 5G, anyone? Often fingerprintless bioarchetype, bacteriological. There's one for you. Viruses, proons, parasites, fungi, carcinogens, toxins, hormones, regulators, fatal to disabling, short to long-term scale, anti-flora, fauna, functionality, direct and undetectable, binary, neutral, genomic, biohacking. It goes on. I know I'm just about running out of time. If y'all want to see the rest of this, let me know. I didn't realize it would take this long, but folks, this is already here. And when you read this document and you start lacing it with everything else, and then you go back to even where I show you documents back from the 60s, where they were already advancing this. And today, you and I are living it. I wonder how much of the physical ailments that the mass population has, cancers, tumors, are not in fact been inflicted upon us genetically. I mean, when you genetically modify food so that certain insects won't eat it, well, if they're not going to eat it, what makes you so sure that we can eat it? When we begin to look at this nanodust, the rest of the document gets into this whole nanodust, the smart dust, how that they had already knew about putting it, injecting it into aerosols. This really where our tax paying money is going. Yeah, folks. I mean, and I'm not making it up. There's the document for you. It's like I said, it's all 115 pages, slides, and it just, you read this and we're living it. It's kind of almost like a deja vu when you read. You're going, wait a minute. And it shows you, again, their concern. Something, I don't know what it is. Time is getting constricted. It seems to be accelerating. And we know now, physics would say that that is very possible. Could it be that we're in a region of space? Are we near a black hole that where we're getting these time gravitation waves? I don't know. All right, my hour's over with. I could stay here a lot longer. This was fun, folks. If you want the document, email me. I'll send it to you. You can read it at your own pleasure, do your own research, go back, look at the references material, see how valid it truly is. That's the thing. And then make your own determinations. All right. Y'all are the best. I appreciate you. I have a great time. I hope you did too. We're learning. We're learning a lot. Link in description. Jason, they're PDFs, so I don't know how I can actually get that to you, but listen. Hi, Anti-Popular Girl. Brandy, how are you doing? Robin Hill, good to see you. Jenny, the rest of you. So really, this is one you want in your digital library, your digital files. It truly is. And we'll see what we can do about getting it massed out there. It's one you need to read. All right, folks, I'll see you tomorrow with Nancy Addison. We're going to find out diabetes. Let me just say very quickly, in the last, I think it's about the last 3 or 4 days, there have been 2 people I know who hit the headlines that died because of diabetic complications. Maybe they are trying to kill us. I don't know. It seems like the drugs they give us certainly want to do that. All right, folks, I appreciate you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your energy. It's a far out experience. Thank you. Peace. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. If you want to be free,